The number on the outside of the icons is your flood settings. By pressing the number on the outside of the palette icon, you'll come to the flood settings for that particular print head. There's many options here. We'll go through them one by one. Flooding, number one, we have without option. When you're using without flooding, there is going to be no flood stroke. So typically this is used when somebody uses two squeegees in the print carriage instead of a squeegee and a flood bar. When you run without flooding and you run one stroke, you'll print in one direction, the machine will cycle, and then you'll print in the other direction. Again, using two squeegees instead of a squeegee and a flood bar. Normal is what we typically use with plastisol. If you have your squeegee on the operator side of the machine, your flood bar on the machine side of the machine, normal is going to print in that direction. If we were inverted, instead of normal, you would print as they do in Europe, with a squeegee on the machine side of the machine and your flood bar on the operator side of the machine. Typically in the United States, we use normal. Pre-flood. Pre-flood is what we're going to do for plastisol ink. In other words, we're going to print a cycle, the machine is going to index, either during the index or after index, your machine is going to flood the screen and then print your screen. If you were printing water-based ink, you would turn pre-flood off. Thus we would be post-flooding. In water-based, we want to keep our screens wet. So with post-flood, the machine is going to cycle, it's going to print your image and flood your screen and index to the next cycle. Thus your screen will be flooded with ink, not allowing the water-based ink to dry out in the screen. Final is used with water-based settings, in other words post-flood. If we have final turned on, when we hit first piece and last piece and go through a print cycle, when you hit last piece, it prints that last shirt. It's not going to post-flood your screen. It's not going to leave the screen flooded. It will actually clean the screen. The machine is assuming that you're going to be done with your job. You're going to tear it down. Now you have a clean screen to take to washout instead of a flooded screen with ink all over it. 3D flooding is intended for very thick emulsion, multi-coat emulsion, or capillary film, where you basically have a tub to accept the ink. You have two settings on 3D. You have strokes and 3D strokes. This is typically used with two squeegees in the machine, not a flood bar. 3D strokes is going to be the number of flood cycles before your first print stroke. So if I have 3D strokes set to 2, it's going to actually flood twice with the arm up. The arm is going to come down, and then we're going to have one print stroke. If I had print strokes set to 2, that is only going to affect the subsequent print stroke. So you'll have 2 3D flood strokes, you'll have a print, then one regular flood stroke, and then your second print stroke. On the outside of the palette icons, you'll see a number. The number is your flood configuration. Your flood configuration, we will review at a later video, but this also controls your strokes, your flood types. The main thing about the main flood control is if you do it from print head number 1 and you want all your print arms to be the same, at this point you can copy to all, yes, and that exact same configuration will change for all print arms.